And welcome to the Do's and Don'ts of Sinning with Matthew and Joslyn.
What's up, you guys?
So today we're talking about coping mechanisms with breaking up with people.
And this is our first episode.
Yes. So thank you. I keep clapping. Thank you for tuning in if you are tuning in.
We realize that this is like a very new thing for us, and it'll probably take like a little bit of a learning curve as we go on, but hopefully we're not like terrible at it from the beginning.
Right. Hopefully we actually have some skill. We do listen to a lot of podcasts, so that hopefully gives us a lot of knowledge behind it.
So we're sitting here fucking bright and early in the morning for us. But
9:40 a.m. Super early.
Super early.
As we both woke up like an hour ago.
Literally. But like we work nights, so.
So it works. And I was there until midnight because I'm a great coworker and I decided to stay and help.
Great employee. All right, so we're gonna get into a little bit about ourselves and like why we decided to do this and everything like that. So, do you want to start? Do you want me to?
You can start.
Okay, so I'm Joslyn. Should I say my last name?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
I just
either.
think it's weird. Hi, my name's Joslyn. Blah, blah, blah. And today on my interview, it sounds very formal.
Yeah, it does sound too formal. Okay, so I'm Joslyn. Matthew and I both work at a long-term care facility, also known as a nursing home, but they're not called that anymore.
Yes.
Beside the point. So anyways, we both worked there and we met like 6 months ago.
Something like that. Because you got hired after me.
Yeah, like a month or two after you.
Yeah.
So that's where we met and we like clicked really well, and then we never had the same day off, but we did have the same day off once.
Once.
One and only time. And we hung out. And it went really well, and I feel like we have really good back and forth, and then we became really good friends, and then we started, like, talking in my car before work and having, like, podcast-esque conversations and stuff, and then we would spend, like, an hour in the parking lot after our shift, like, literally just talking about anything and everything. So one day I was like, wow, we should really sit down, buy a podcast mic, and fucking do this thing.
Yeah, because I feel like we have great advice. We talk to each other about great things, and we should just share it with the world kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I think that this is going to be a really good thing because we already have a really great, like, conversation dynamic when it's just the two of us and we're not being recorded. So I think that'll relay really well.
Right, transition very well into a podcast setting.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And I'm Matthew. I also work there. That's how we met, yeah. And yeah, podcasts are always fun. And people always think about doing podcasts and talking and sharing like rather stories or just about social media and like normal culture and stuff or interviews, but it always seemed fun to do like the kind of stuff that we talk about like in our cars and like texting and stuff, like breaking up, sinning constantly. So that'd be a fun time just to talk about it and show and have you guys listen to it.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, but we've been through a lot of shitty shit.
Very much.
And I like am a firm believer that we can like give some good advice on like the things that we've been through and maybe like make somebody feel not alone in their situation or something like that. So I don't know. I feel like that's super good. So
yeah, we can just share like our stories and how the crap that we went through, and people can just relate to it, learn from it, laugh from it. So it'll be great.
Yes. And like, we're pretty funny. So
oh yeah, we're hilarious, guys. It'll be a great time.
All right. So should we just get into it?
Yeah, I guess we should just jump into coping mechanisms with breaking up today.
Yeah. So coping with breakups. So, I mean, me personally, I just got out of a relationship like a couple weeks ago. So
super fresh.
Super fresh.
Super on topic and
Subway.
trendy.
No. Anyways, so yeah, like they suck. I wasn't like super torn up about it because it was like my choice to break up with him, and I feel like whenever, well, not all the time, but I feel like sometimes when you break up with the other person, like if you're a female and you break up with a male, sometimes I feel like it can be like a little bit empowering almost.
Oh, for sure, because usually guys dump girls.
Yeah.
Like the douchebag archetype or whatever. So when a girl's like, it's over, she feels strong, she was in command of the relationship, she wasn't like...
Yeah.
She wasn't just like docile and the guy just broke up with her. No, she took charge. So of course it's gonna make you feel strong after it.
And it made me feel really good to like break up with him before he had the chance to break up with me, because he like turned into a fuckboy, and that was like one of the moments in my life that I was like, I should do this before I get more hurt or put myself in a situation that like I don't want to be in or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just get it over with and done. And I was literally like, it was a Saturday. I was day drinking with my best friend, like we always do. And he was being super shady. And so I texted him and I was like, look, I don't think you're like invested in this relationship anymore. And I was basically like, long story short, I was like, I gotta jump ship. I'm out.
Very blunt, very straight to the forward,
Yes.
which you should do.
Yes.
Definitely don't beat around the bush.
No, and I like totally was like, this is the moment that I can like call him out on all of his shit.
Oh, 100%.
And I did, and it felt really good.
Yeah, because it'd been, 2 days since he talked to you or
Yeah,
something?
it was
and
like...
he was, responding one-word messages, and you were, little tipsy, and you were like, fuck it, what's up?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on?
And he literally, handled it like such a fucking pussy, I'm not gonna lie. He was like, oh, sorry I let you down. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I sent, one last long text message about, I don't think you were ready for a relationship. I asked you for the bare minimum. You couldn't even deliver on that. And so, after that, I fucking blocked him so he couldn't even respond. And it felt so fucking good. I know I keep saying that, but it felt so good to just be like, bye, motherfucker.
Yeah.
We're done here. And I've got rid of him on, social media and stuff like that. And then I felt good. I'm not gonna lie. I was standing in the kitchen, and 2 seconds after I sent the last message and I blocked him and everything, I looked up at the ceiling and I tears running down my face. And Sarah was like, don't start crying. And I was like, you're right. And I wiped my tears, and I fucking powered through the day and I was fine. I was fully expecting to cry after she left, and I didn't. And I feel like that's progress for me.
That is, because after a certain point, that one boyfriend or breaking up with somebody who you weren't with isn't worth the tears anymore. Because say you had a 6-year long relationship, and of course after 6 months you might still be crying after it, it might still be hurting,
yeah.
But at a certain point, the tears aren't worth the energy anymore. Or if it's a minuscule relationship and he ended at being a douche, maybe just a good one cry, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm better now.
Yeah.
Because if there's a death of a relationship, maybe 1 or 2 tears is sufficient.
Yeah, and I agree. And my mom has told me in the past, breakups are fucking hard and they suck. And
because you put so much into it, and
do.
then even when it falls short after 2 weeks, it's fuck.
Yeah.
We could have had so much potential. We had this, we had that. So even if it was a 2-week long relationships, usually when you get into a relationship, you try to go in for the long haul. So when you break up, It's fucking harsh.
Yeah, and not only that, but you invest your time and your feelings into this person, and you're like you said, you're hoping for the best.
Right.
And it just sucks when it doesn't work out how you planned on it working out. But then at the same time, Matthew and I have talked before that, it's either going to work out or it's not. And you're not, everybody's cup of tea.
Exactly. Relationships have 2 endings, marriage or breaking up.
Right.
So when you break up, you can't be all, devastated world ending, because, probably 99% of relationships end in breakup. I hope that didn't cut it.
Oh my God.
My computer just... Okay, it's still going. My computer just fell asleep, so that's fun. I should probably change the setting real quick. But yeah, if relationships... it's marriage or breakup, and then even marriage ends up in breakup. So you just have to get over it and go through it and power through. Yeah, do a crying sesh. Go out drinking with somebody, but don't, destroy your life over a breakup, because 1, there's a million people out there in the world, and 2, it's just not worth it.
It's not. And
because you need to grow from breakups anyways,
exactly.
not lose stuff from it.
And building on that, So, like, people have told me, like, it's okay to mourn the death of a relationship.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you're hurt, they're probably hurt, and, like, it's okay to, like, be in that headspace.
Yes.
To, like, I'm sad, and, like, it's okay to feel those emotions. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel, like, let down and disappointed. And, like, I think that's a good time to, like, look back and, like, reflect on what you could have done differently, or what not to look for.
Or just how it didn't match up. Like, if he wasn't into the same, like, hobbies, like hiking and, like, rock climbing or whatever, and that's why you guys didn't work out, because you weren't as physical as him or her. So just, like, think of those things, because, yeah, not every relationship you're gonna match on every level. So, like, take the time to reflect, grow, like, meditate while you're driving to work or Starbucks. Just think about how it's different, because each relationships, you can take something from each relationship onto the next, or even multitude of things. And, like, there's new things to look out for. There's new, like, red flags. There's new green flags. There's just things you can always take on to the next one. And that's the time of mourning, is to learn, gain knowledge, and get over it.
Absolutely. And, like, Matthew and I have both been in, like, long-term relationships. So my longest relationship...
I know, shocker, guys.
Right. We don't seem like the type at all.
13 minutes in.
So my longest relationship was 3 years, and it was, like, super toxic, super volatile. Like, took me a long time to get the courage to get out of it and everything, but it was, like, a big learning experience. And once I finally got out, I was fucking heartbroken. Like, I took it really hard. I was like, wow, this is the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Like, it was very, very hard to get through that. And, like, I feel like getting over a breakup, especially, like, the months, like, I would say, like, 3 to 6 months, maybe, if we're going to be, like, vague about it, I guess. So, like, I feel like the 3 to 6 months after that is, like, a roller coaster.
Oh, for sure. Because, like, the first, like, week after, especially a long-term relationship, you're like, your whole future has been changed.
Right.
Because when you're even, yeah, like, if you're in a long-term relationship, like, whether it's, like, 6 months to, like, a year to, like, 5 years or whatever, but just long-term relationships in general, you start to see yourself as an old person with this other person. You see yourself having kids, or being, like, 50s, 60s, 70s. Like, you see your whole future with this other person. So when that goes away, that first couple months and weeks and stuff, your whole future is changing. So you're not seeing yourself with that companion anymore. So you might feel lost. You might feel alone. You might feel just like you have no future and stuff. So there's definitely, like, it's like the 10 stages of grief or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, like, everybody goes through it, and there's definitely different forms and times of it. But yeah, long-term relationships, it's harder, because, yeah, you see yourself as an old person and a grandma or grandpa with this person, and then when you break up, that whole future sight is shattered.
Right. And you almost have to, like, backtrack your life and, like, figure out what it is that how you're gonna go up from there, you know what I mean? So, like, that was definitely, like, the 3-year relationship was definitely, like, the hardest, worst breakup I've ever had to go through, just because, like I said, it took me so long to leave and everything. And, like, on top of that, like Matthew said, like, in the first week, I feel like it can go, like, 1 to 2 ways. You can either be, like, so fucking sad and depressed through that whole week, or you can be, like, on top of the world. Like, yeah, I did it. I'm out. I'm single. Like, living my best life.
Definitely no in between, though.
No in between whatsoever. No in between. You're like, yeah, fuck that fool. Or you're like, oh my God, I'm so sad.
Alone. Nobody in the world is as alone as me.
Yeah, you're just like, so woe is me, misery loves company ass bitch. But, like, yeah, definitely. And then, like after that, there was months, like, I probably went, like, 2-3 months where I didn't cry, like, at all. I mean, there was times where I was sad, but I didn't, like, actually, like, cry or anything. And then there was, like, a moment where I was like, wow, I'm doing so well with this breakup. Like, I'm finally starting to get over him. And then, like, the next month comes around and you fucking, like, start crying all over
Right,
again.
because it's February, there's couples everywhere, it's Valentine's fucking Day, or it's, like, the middle of summer, or even in, like, say, like, fall, and everyone's just, like, holding hands, walking around, like, in parks and shit, and you're just sitting there, like, with your friend, and you just feel alone.
Like,
and you're
so
like,
cynical.
Yeah, right, you're just so cynical, you're like, fuck all these couples, and you're just sitting there, like, being a bitch, and then you go home at night and you're like, but I want to be that couple.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's what happens. But then, like, a month before, you don't see any couples, or you don't think about it because, like, all your friends are hanging out. It's like summer, you're going camping. So it's just like, yeah, you have to also not put yourself in the situation to be sad, but you also are very valid in being sad. So, like, I would say, like, you definitely need to cry. Or at least, like, mourn, go through that, because people who don't do that after, like, a long-term relationship, they're waiting to crack.
Absolutely.
Like, if you break up with, say, like, you're with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever for longer than, like, 2 years, and then you break up and you never take the time to, like, be sad and mourn, like, 6 months later, you're gonna have an emotional breakdown.
Absolutely.
Because you need the time to feel sad and negative.
Yes.
Like, that is part of the human experience, is to cry and to feel sad. So when you don't give yourself time to do that, you're gonna break.
And not only that, but I feel like it's super healthy to, like, feel those feelings and those emotions and, like, realize that, like, you are validated for feeling those things.
Exactly.
And not only that, but if you don't mourn the death of a relationship and, like, go through the stages of a breakup and feel the way you're feeling, you are probably going to take that baggage into the next relationship that you go into, which that's not like an every single time thing, because, like, I've gotten into a relationship pretty quickly after a breakup and things have gone fine. Well, we did break up.
But fine in the sense of that
Yes.
It wasn't like you were bringing baggage in. You weren't, like, being terrible. Like, you just, like, not rebounded, but you just, like, bounced right into the next relationship, and then it went fine until that individual relationship corrupted.
Absolutely, yes.
But yeah, like, you need to go through the stages. You need to grieve. You need to be happy that you're single. You definitely, in the wise words of RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell can you love somebody else? Which is super valid in between relationships too.
Absolutely.
Because even the best of people, they become dependent on their boyfriend or girlfriend. Because you're there for cuddling, you're there for, like, love languages and, like, just whatever. You're very dependent on your other person, even if you're a very independent person. So when you break up, you lose that dependence. So if you can't become happy with yourself once again, then you definitely bring that into the next relationship, where you are too dependent in the beginning when they're still getting used to being in a relationship anyway. So you're at different crossroads, you're at different levels of relationship because you are bringing baggage, because you didn't take the proper time or mentality to properly get over a relationship.
Yeah, and, like, my coping mechanisms are basically what we've talked about, is just, like, cry, like, I sometimes binge eat and, like, eat my feelings, and, like, I'm, like...
But in a healthy way. Definitely not, like, anything crazy, but yes.
No. But, like, I'm, like, a whole package of Milano's Deep, like, tears running down my face.
Oh, yes.
And, like,
multiple packs in the back of your car.
Absolutely. And, like, those cookies are expensive, so, like, treat yourself. I don't know. So, like...
They're, like, $5 a bag. We're so broke.
Absolutely.
Because there's, like, cookies out there that are, like, gold-leafed and bougie as fuck.
And we're like, oh my god,
Milanos are so expensive.
God, we're so trashy. So, no, like, a lot of times, too, I'm, like, one of my favorite coping mechanisms that is, like, yeah, we just, like, clap.
We just keep clapping.
One of my favorite coping mechanisms that, like, some people might deem it as healthy or unhealthy, but it really does make me feel better, is I like to go get a tattoo after
for sure.
I get out of a breakup. So a lot of my tattoos, and it's not necessarily like a spur of the moment, it's like, I feel really sad right now and I might be sad for the next couple months, so I'm gonna schedule a tattoo. And, like, part of my reasoning behind that is, like, I'm feeling so much emotional pain that I, like, want to be reminded that there are, like, worse pains out there, like physical pain, you know, like emotional pain and physical pain are, like, on different planes, and, like, you feel them differently, but, like, it's, like, a nice reminder that, like,
life moves on.
Yeah, life moves on. Like, and it puts you, like, in the moment. You're feeling like a tattoo needle, like, going in and out of your skin. And, like, it takes you away from the whole situation for a minute. And you're feeling physical pain versus emotional pain. And it's like, sometimes it can be a reset for me. And I'm just like, wow, I feel like I'm overreacting a little bit. Like, it wasn't that serious. And this is, like, talking about, like, short-term relationships. Like, it wasn't that serious. Like, whatever, we're gonna move, we're gonna grow, we're gonna, like, lead our life. And, like, some of the best advice that I've gotten, which is, like, so fucking cliche, and sometimes it is so shitty to hear, is, like, you were a whole person before the person that you were with, so you can be a whole person after that breakup.
Yes.
And I think a really good way to go about it as well is, like, go back to the person that you were before that and, like, try to remember what you did in your free time.
Yeah, hobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you lose a hobby or two when you get into relationships just because you don't have, like, the excess amount to, like, paint huge paintings or something. You're sketching small, or you're not binge watching a lot of TV because you guys are out hiking and stuff. So, like, the little things or whatever, or taking baths and such, just, like, little stuff. So go back to before you were together, because you were 100%, just like Joslyn just said. And you just go back to what you did, like read books or, like, whatever it could possibly do. Because, yeah, some people lose hobbies. And especially after the relationship, you feel like you've lost so much, but you're still a person.
Yeah, definitely.
So you might be swelling, or you might be angry or upset or sad. But then think of what you did before, because people feel very bored and alone after relationships, and be like, but I used to hike, I used to read books, I used to do this and this and that. And it's like, do those things to restore normality.
Yes, absolutely.
Because then that'll help get over the relationship. That'll help you, like, cope with the sadness, cope with the anger, because you'll feel normal again, instead of that you lost a huge chunk of your life.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, and that was a really good way to phrase it.
Right, thank you so much.
Super
yeah,
good.
Because I always highly believe that relationships are 200%.
I agree.
For the most part. I mean, you could be like 98, 99, because some people do need the other person for, like, mental stability, or, like, that's what you get into relationships. That's why everyone has types. Like, people have types that they're like, oh, I want the masculine type because I don't know how to do my taxes or something, and that's, like, what they look for. Or, like, they want car guys because they're into cars and they need help with cars or whatever. So, like, yeah, but I believe that relationships are, like, 200%, because each person needs to be a full rounded person, to the most part, to be with somebody else. Because if you're, like, at 50% and you're looking to get into a relationship for somebody to fix you and make you whole, that's selfish. The wrong way to do it, because then you're, like, selfish. You're making the other person put maybe more effort into it. Or you're 50% and you want somebody to give you friends and give you hobbies and do this and do that, but then, like, who is that other person looking at you, a half a person? Like, that's not very appealing, and that's also, yeah, very selfish of you to not bring to the table the same amount the other person is, and asking them to fulfill your life. Like, you need to fulfill each other's life at the same time you're being an independent person.
Yeah, absolutely. And along the lines of, like, what I had talked about too is, like, coping mechanisms are so important, and there's good coping mechanisms, and there's, like, bad coping mechanisms, and then there's, like, just plain toxic coping mechanisms.
Exactly.
So, like, good coping mechanisms for me is, like we talked about a million times, like, beating a dead horse, is, like, just cry and feel and, like, self-reflect, talk about it with people, and, like...
Right. Don't be alone. Like, go hang out with friends. Remember your hobbies.
Yeah.
Listen to your favorite music. Eat your favorite meal. Go to your favorite restaurant. And just, like, have fun because you just broke up. Like, you should be sad. And if you're not sad, just enjoy being alone then.
Yeah, I agree. And, like, sometimes going through a breakup can be so liberating. So, like, after I got out of my super toxic relationship, I almost felt like a caged bird in that relationship. Like, yeah. I felt very limited on what I could and could not do. And so one of the things that, like, helped me through that breakup period so much was, like, I couldn't do this. I couldn't wear this. I couldn't talk to this person. Like I said, it was super toxic.
Agree.
But like, for example, like I was kind of like alienated from some of my friends and some of my family because like Matthew talked about, I became so codependent, which like some codependence is fine, but like I definitely was like a little over the top with it, as was he. Like we were both super codependent on one another.
Yeah.
And afterwards I was like, wow, I can go to the bars now. I can hang out with this friend that I haven't talked to in like 3 years, you know, and like mend other relationships and spend my time like working on me and becoming a better version of myself because I can like really set in who I am as a person. And like that goes along with the self-reflecting is like my style. I know this is like kind of a little off topic, but like I know what happened with you too, that like your style like changed after a breakup.
Yeah, like we both had very toxic relationships, very similar. And yeah, in my last relationship, we got married because I'm an idiot. But he was in the military, he was in the Air Force, and just my like style changed. Like before that, I worked at a department store. I was dressing more gay, if you can't tell. And just like certain stuff, like I had like a mesh baseball jersey thing or whatever from like PacSun and shit. And then like I had like a American Horror Story Coven hat that I wish I still had because that shit's stunning, especially now on fucking TikTok.
Absolutely.
I could be making cute ass American Horror Story Coven TikToks, but no. But yeah, during the relationship, we were buying clothes together, so it was almost like, and people do say that like when, especially in gay relationships, you kind of mesh because you're sharing clothes, because you're the same gender and stuff like that. And especially in mine, since he was very masculine energy, very military, I was wearing more like Wrangler jeans. I was wearing, I know, like gag me. Not saying Wrangler jeans are ugly, but just not for me. But yeah, I was wearing like Wrangler jeans and like cargo shorts and just like shirts, and he was asking me to get my hair cut shorter. And since it was so toxic and it was such a bad relationship and I was feeling so caged and like overshadowed and stuff by his energy, I was going along with it. So like all my style changed. I had the shortest hair I've ever had in my life. Like it was basically in military regulations. And the relationship showed that because like I was losing my personality because of his negative like shadow over me.
Absolutely.
And the same with you. Like you were getting rid of clothes. He was wanting you to not wear like sexy cut dresses and like
absolutely. So
this
like,
outfit and tights and stuff. Like he wanted to control you, and that's a very not good, but that's a very effective way people try to control people, is through friends, relationships, clothing, fashion, and just image, because they're trying to shatter and control your person at a core.
Right. And like so like with my relationship, that was like the bad one that like Matthew was touching on with his, is like like he was like, I don't like it when you wear this. Like, do you think you could cover up more? Like, whatever it may be. It was just like toxic manipulation tactics, really. But, so like after that, I was like, if I want to go fucking to a rave and wear nothing but pasties and a thong, I can do that without anybody calling me like a slut.
Yeah, because that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's your self-empowerment. Like, live your life, wear whatever the hell you want. And not saying that, like, your relationship or your boyfriend can't be like, hey, that looks a little skimpy for church. Can you change?
Oh, my God.
You just have to be tactful about it, and you have to be like, because you really can't control the other person in the relationship, but you are together, you do have an input in their life and stuff because you guys are dating. So if you don't feel like maybe something's appropriate or like their outfit makes you uncomfortable, you're very valid in feeling that, but they're also valid in whatever the hell they want to wear. So if you feel like your boyfriend or girlfriend is wearing like booty shorts or like a skimpy top or whatever, you can of course mention it, because that's very valid, because that's how you feel. Maybe you don't want guys to be looking at her, or you don't want somebody to assume that they're single or something. Like, your opinion's very valid, but their opinion of wanting to wear it is very valid. So you kind of have to like talk it out like a relationship.
Compromise.
Yeah, but definitely not controlling, like making the other person wear the stuff that you want them to wear because you're insecure or you just want to control them.
And like really quickly, speaking on like wearing clothes, like certain clothes when you're in a relationship, I had this boyfriend. He was like the one and only boyfriend that didn't cheat on me. Love him. Still talk to him to this day. Shout out if you're listening.
Yes, Tim.
No, not Tim.
Chris. Oh, yes, Chris. Homeboy Chris back home.
Homeboy Chris back home. I hate myself so much. Anyway, so like loved him so much. He had this really bad habit of like turning every shirt into a cutoff. Like, I could not stand it. God, I could not stand it. So we came up to my mom's house. My mom lived in Denver. We lived in this like bumfuck Egypt town, like out east. And so anyway, we had like no good clothes to wear to my cousin and Tanner and Shelby's wedding. And so like we literally like went to Kohl's, which is where Matthew worked.
Yes.
Anyway, so
shout out to Kohl's.
Shout out to Kohl's.
Sponsor.
So anyway, we like went to Kohl's and we like bought him like a really nice outfit. We bought him like a really nice pair of jeans, and he already had like his shoes were fine. We bought him a nice shirt, and like I was like walking in the store with my mom. We're going to check out, and I was like, I swear to fucking God, if he turns this into a cutoff, I'm gonna be so pissed, because he did it with everything, and I was like, I don't
like cut off like the sleeves, right?
Like, yeah, cut off the sleeves. So it was just like a tank top.
So like man side boob.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
yes.
okay. I was like cut off like crop top? No. So like cut off like like the gym rat.
Yeah, gym rat.
Like nipple like side boob male.
Yes.
Like basically just cut out the sides. Yeah, trash. Did he?
I don't really remember. I didn't really follow up on that.
Definitely block that out of your memory.
I did, 100%.
But was it like a starchy white collared shirt?
It was like a full-on dress shirt. No, I'm just kidding.
Cut off dress shirt? How classy. I mean, I could see it, not judging the South or anything, but I could definitely see that at like a redneck wedding.
100%. But no, it wasn't a dress shirt. I'm just kidding. But no, it was like a really nice like t-shirt. It was like
okay.
Yeah, it was
so
like
it was like dress casual.
Yes, yeah.
But like one of the weddings where you can wear like jeans too.
Yes.
Which I definitely don't agree to.
Me either.
Weddings are definitely formal. Maybe like the reception if you want to like change out, but definitely still like business casual slacks, because
I like for sure wear a dress.
Yes.
And
like
heels.
Exactly, yes. Like at least dress up, because it's a wedding. God, like wedding dresses are like thousands of dollars plus. Like I definitely don't. If I was a girl and I had my freaking $2,000 dress on and my husband was like, oh, let's make it casual or whatever and make people wear jeans, those pictures look terrible.
Absolutely. You have like the cousin in the back that's just wearing like regular jeans.
Legit, exactly. And they're like white and stuff.
Oh my God, stop.
So yeah, like if you want like jeans for the reception, of course, casual, very casual. It looks it fits it, especially if it's an outside wedding. But definitely not for the ceremony.
No.
Definitely not.
We just got
super off topic.
off topic. Oh my God. This is exactly what happens when we're like not recording all the time. So
we
it's
just
like,
go from topic to topic
Yeah.
to topic and nobody's there. We need like an assistant to just like wind us back in and like connect us back to society.
But anyways, so like I was talking about good, bad, and toxic coping mechanisms.
So yeah, and let's go with bad coping mechanisms.
Yes.
Bad coping mechanisms is one, talking to your ex.
Yes.
I solemnly believe you can talk to your ex. You just have to have the proper time.
Yes.
Because you can work through like say like a divorce or like a long-term relationship or even like a couple weeks. Talking to the other person and being like what went wrong is healthy, but I feel like that goes in with breaking up.
Yes.
Like that's definitely not an after thing, because if you just break up and you're like, I don't want to be with you together, blocked, then you don't have that like back and forth. So definitely when you are breaking up with somebody, you should be like, hey, what's up? Like, I feel like we're losing our connection. Like, is it something I did? Is it something you did? Like, let's talk about it. And then maybe you can figure it out. Maybe something happened in their own life that they like not hid from you, but that they're like sheltering because they're scared or whatever. But definitely bad coping mechanisms is going back to your ex, sleeping with your ex. Like breakup sex is definitely happening, but it's definitely not healthy. It's definitely a bad coping mechanism because you're not moving on in your mind and in your mentality, you're still with that person.
And you're still remaining hopeful, which, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing because, like, I am a firm believer, as are you, that, like, people can work on themselves and they can change and you can, like, meet back up later in life.
Oh, of course.
And things can be fine after that. I've heard of, like, a million people doing that.
Exactly.
And so, like, that could be, like, remaining hopeful is not a bad thing. However, like, let's say you break up on a Monday, you fuck on a Wednesday, and then, like, he's back to being a fuckboy on a Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you have to have definite, like, perspective. You definitely can't be hopeful about everything because it's, in the end, like, just break up. And yeah, you can be hopeful and be like, oh, maybe we'll get back together. It wasn't that really bad, but honey, if he cheated on you...
Oh, honey.
you definitely shouldn't be getting back to him. But yeah, hopeful. And I mean, like, yeah, like you invested all your time in a relationship. You definitely shouldn't want to just throw it all down the drain. So yeah, be hopeful, but that's definitely not the healthiest coping mechanism. Like being hopeful to get back in the relationship. You should really be going with the flow. Like if it comes back, it comes back. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. Really quickly.
So like talking about like going back to your ex, my best friend Sarah, love you Sarah. So, like, she was dating this, like, piece of shit dude. Seriously, like, such a douche. He, like, started out great. I mean, they all do. But anyway, he started out great and was, like, treated her well. He, like, stepped up to be a father to her kids. And he, like, was a really good guy. She was, like, really fucking in love with this guy. And she full on thought that she was gonna marry him. Like... She was so invested in that relationship, and then, like, shit hit the fan, and things got bad and everything, and she, like, reached out to me, and I gave her some really good advice that I don't ever take for myself.
Correct.
And, so anyways, she, like, reached out to me, and I, like, helped her through that breakup, and we started hanging out. We had, like, a girls' night and everything, went to the bar, day drink, whatever. And I was there for her. She was doing really good. And then she had like a slip up and she like went back to him a couple of times. And then she like finally called it quits. And like, you know, that's like difficult to watch your friend go through.
Yeah.
Because like...
You want the best for your friends.
I do, yeah.
And since you're an outside perspective, it's always so hard of an outside perspective.
Yeah, they have like love blinders on.
Exactly, yeah.
And so like, you know, I do consider myself, like, a really good friend, especially in situations like that, because...
Hair flip, great friend.
She knew that I was, like, a little disappointed that she was, like, going back, but I told her, I was like, you know, I love you. I'm here for you no matter what. Like, I'm not gonna be the person that's like, told you so, bitch. Like, I'm not that person. But, like, I'm gonna be here for you. I'm gonna love you no matter what. I'm here for your happiness. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, I'm still here for you. And, like, that's fine. And I think that's, like, really good. But I think it is, like, really hard to, like, completely cut off like communication from a long-term relationship. Yeah. Because like I'm very much...
They're so intertwined with your daily life and everything. Everybody knows them in your life. Your family knows
like,
them.
If you have kids involved, like that situation.
For sure.
Like 100%. And I'm definitely much like an all or nothing ass bitch. Like I literally like I will block you from my entire life and like you will never hear from me again until like ever. Like,
fully witness protection plan. Yeah. Never seen again ever.
So, like, one of the breakups that I went through, we were together for, like, 8 months, and I loved him so much. He was, like, fucking, like, literally, like, fairy tale romance. I'm not even kidding. And it was so devastating during our breakup because I was so blindsided. So, like, he cheated on me. Spoiler alert.
Shocker.
So, anyway, like, it was like super hard because I was so blindsided and when we were having like the actual breakup conversation like in person and everything like that, he's actually the one that broke up with me, which looking back makes me sick that I let that happen. So anyway, I've talked to Matthew about this before too, is like that was the first time that I ever like got my closure, because I used to think that like closure was bullshit. I didn't think that you like really needed it. I'm like, oh, you break up, you move on, whatever.
But like, you definitely need to say your piece, and you did. It's a great story.
It is a great story.
And you definitely need closure, because without closure, like, it's without closure with the person, it's dragged on. Like with, like, quick side story, but with my last relationship or whatever, my only relationship, I didn't get any closure with him because he was such a piece of shit and he cheated on me and we just divorced, and then I didn't see him ever again through like the whole divorce, and I had to come to terms with my own closure on my side without knowing any of his crap, like why he cheated, why he was a douche, why he did this, why that and I had to come with my closure on my terms, and it took forever. So with Joslyn, her closure,
it was really good. So like we
amazing.
I'm like super, super fucking proud of myself for this too. So like, I'll tell this story till the day I fucking die. So we were having our breakup conversation and everything, and I was like, okay, this is it. Like, we're done, whatever. And I was like pissed off, rightfully so, because cheating is inexcusable. And so a couple of things, he was like gathering his stuff out of my room, and I had to walk him downstairs so I could lock the door behind him. And he like reached out to hug me, and I looked at him and I was like, no, thank you. And we were walking downstairs, and a joke throughout our whole relationship that he used to say all the time, which in the beginning it was funny, and then after a while I was like, oh, okay, enough. He was like, oh, I'm gonna ghost you now. Like, oh, it's time for me to ghost you. I think we're getting too serious. Time to ghost you. And he used to just joke about it all the time. So he tried to like say that while I was like walking downstairs with him, and he was like, if you ever need anybody to talk to, like, you can always text or call me. Like, I'm not gonna ghost you. And I, like, looked him dead in the eyes, and I was like, you are not gonna hear from me again for the rest of my life. And I really mean that. Haven't talked to him since. I have looked him up on Instagram because we go through those
Also
times.
bad coping mechanism.
Bad coping mechanism. But anyways, he was, like, leaving, and he's, like, putting his shoes on, waiting for his Uber to get there. And, I like felt myself, and I was like, this is my moment to get my closure. I was like, I approached it really well, super calm, and I was like, really quickly, I want to thank you for giving me a new standard for a relationship, because
he was a great guy.
He was a great guy.
Great guy. He opened car doors. He bought roses. He
Yeah.
paid for dinner. He was such a gentleman.
He let me wear whatever I wanted. He was like, he would call me beautiful like every day. He was so sweet. He texted me back all the time. Like, he made me feel so secure. And so he really did give me a new standard for a relationship compared to my last before that. And so I was like, I want to thank you for giving me a new standard for a relationship. I want to thank you for like making really good memories with me while we had the time, and like, I'm really glad that we got to do that, and thank you for like teaching me things that I didn't know, because he taught me a lot about like cars and music and like just random shit. Like, he introduced me to really good TV shows and stuff. He took me to like my first rave and everything. And so like, I was like, I really want to thank you for those things. And I was like, I also would like you to thank your family for me, for like welcoming me in and being so generous and so compassionate and just like accepting me as like part of their family. And they were like I spent Thanksgiving with them. Like, his sister was pregnant the same time my sister was pregnant, so we had like a really good thing going. And you know, like, I've told Matthew before, and I've told other people before after it happened, like, I honestly don't give two fucking shits what he did with that information, like, at all. Whether he went and told his family about what I said, or if he like took it to heart or anything. That's not what mattered.
Or if he just blew it off or anything.
Or if he just blew it off. And like, the thing about that is like, I don't care at all. I did those things for me, and I felt so good afterwards, because I got the closure for the first time in my entire life. I realized that closure was a real thing.
Right, and you needed to say your piece. You needed to say what you had to say, because yeah, if you didn't, maybe those thoughts and those feelings would have been dragged on. Maybe you would have talked to him again. It would have opened a new channel or whatever. So yeah, I believe in that too. Like, saying your piece, saying your side of it, just like, because you're very valid in what you feel. And that's just to get it off your chest, to get it across.
Absolutely.
Because if she didn't say that, that would have been stuck within herself.
And I would have looked back and been like, God, I wish I said this. I wish I took that moment.
Yeah.
And it was super, super awesome for me to make that, like, act. You know what I mean?
And
like,
that's a good thing is, like, you should never think back and be like, damn, I wish I would have done something. Like, I wish I would have said something. Like, you should always, within circumstances, you should always do and say what you want. Because that's what you want, and you're very valid in what you feel and what you do. So yeah, say your piece and stuff, and whatever he did with that is on him.
Yeah.
Because you said it for you did it for you, and you broke up anyway, so it's like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, exactly. What do you have to lose?
But you have so much to gain after it.
Absolutely. And, like, after that, getting the closure really did help me get over that breakup.
Exactly. Super strong. You got your message across, and you say what you wanted to say.
And there was, like, nothing left unsaid, and it felt...
And that's very key. Nothing left unsaid.
No, yeah.
Because if you never said that, maybe in the back of your mind, you could have been like, well, maybe he wasn't a good boyfriend, or maybe his family wasn't as great, but you said it, it became real.
Yeah.
It gave the words, like, feeling and weight.
Absolutely. So, I definitely think that that's super, super key. If you get the chance to go ahead and do, like, what I did, I say, like, absolutely 100% do it.
For sure.
And, like, it's also okay, like, if you go Matthew's route and you weren't able to get the closure, like, that's okay too. Just, like, you know, like, feel out the situation, you know, kind of play it by ear.
I hate you so much. I say play it by ear too much, but that's also a really good phrase. Like, we always talk about, like, at work, like, if she's gonna come help me on my floor or whatever, I'm like, well, I don't know what time, so we'll play it by ear. And I apparently say it way too much.
He says it way too much, but I also
But yes, play it by ear. If it's a toxic relationship, he cheated on you and stuff like that, fuck him.
Yeah, just block the communication.
Exactly.
Move on, whatever.
And, like, maybe you should say your piece in, like, one last text or whatever and be like, I think you're a piece of shit and you cheated on me and I didn't deserve that. If you were gonna cheat on me, you should have just broken up with me and stuff.
Absolutely.
So definitely, like, say your piece, get over it. But if you don't feel like you need to do that, then don't. You don't have to. You do what you have to feel. Absolutely. So yeah, like, in my last relationship, my marriage, I left him or whatever, and, well, I didn't, like, leave him like a fucking housewife or whatever. But, like, I left him and I started the divorce. I started the breakup because it was very toxic, cheating, very emotionally, very physical, abusive. And I, like, called my sister and I was like, help me get my stuff. I was like, I don't want to move to Montana with this asshole. So I started it, and then we had talked, like, once or twice about, like, he was like, oh, you can have the comforter. Yeah. Well, let's take a break. Joslyn has to pee, so we'll take a quick break. We'll talk about our sponsors. Okay, that worked.
Okay.
Thank you for our break. First break, 48 minutes in, but that was good.
That was good. That's a lot.
Joslyn also didn't wash her hands. That's going to be so loud. Like I was saying, I didn't we only talked, like, once or twice after the relationship. Like, oh, I was getting the comforter, and oh, he was keeping the rice cooker or whatever. And then, like,
I hate you so much.
and then, like, once again for, like, oh, he was gonna start the divorce, but then, spoiler alert, he got arrested and went to jail. But he was gonna start it, and then I ended up starting it because he took so long, and I was like, no, I'm taking the initiative, I'm doing it. And then I started the divorce, and then, like, I never wanted to say my piece because I didn't want to talk to him ever again, because, like, not saying I did anything wrong, I'm just saying he did more wrong than me, because he cheated, he was abusive, and we just weren't each other's cup of tea. But he knew that, and I knew that, but I was so overwhelmed and overshadowed in the relationship that I felt like I couldn't escape a lot of the times. But he knew he was cheating. He was being the abuser. He was being just a straight up asshole. So I never felt like I wanted to talk to him ever again. And recently he did say his piece because, yes, he's in jail. Shout out to him if you're listening. In jail.
He's like one of those TikTokers that's, like, making TikToks
in jail. I do not know how they're doing that.
How are they not getting caught?
Legit. So it's like if they're having phones up the bum. He recently, his mom reached out to me on Facebook and was like, hey, Ray wants to send you a letter. If you want to talk to him, you can download this jail app or whatever. And I was like, no, I definitely don't want to talk to him because it's been almost 2 years since I've last even spoke to him. And it's been forever since the divorce. And I was like, but he wants to say his piece. I won't harbor that. So I was like, send me his letter that he wants to say. And he did. And he sent his letter. And if that was his version of peace, it was terrible. He apologized for like 2 or 3 things, but it definitely wasn't good. But he said his piece and I didn't stop him from it. I didn't respond to it because I don't need to, because I feel like I don't need to validate his opinion or anything like that. So he said his piece and that's cool. And I don't want to stop anybody from their piece and stuff like that. Just like how Joslyn told her ex or whatever all that piece and stuff, and she said her stuff to get closure. That was his version of closure, and I don't want to stop somebody from doing that.
And really quickly, I want to add, like we talked about, it's okay to be like negative in the beginning and like have those moments where you like feel like you hate that person and stuff, and like that's totally okay. But like one thing I do want to add is like even my most toxic relationship, I still have no ill will towards those people. And
because after a certain point, you have to get over it.
You do.
You can't hold the grudges.
No.
Like, even for my ex-relationship, it was abusive. It was cheating and stuff. It was physical. It was emotional. It was just a trash relationship. And yeah, for like the first, like, I would say 6 or 7 months, honestly, I was crying. I was sad about it. I was hating him. But then after a while, you come to terms. Like, I wasn't his cup of tea. He wasn't mine. It just wasn't meant to be. And yeah, he's a piece of shit for like doing the abusive stuff. But I don't hold on to those negativity because why? Why let that weigh you down? Why let that continue to harbor your feelings for years and years? Like, get over it.
Yeah, get over it. Like, I don't know. So, like, even with all the bad shit that was said, all the bad shit that was done, all the manipulation, all the gaslighting, all the cheating, really, like, all those things are horrible, terrible things, and the people that do those things are bad people for what they did.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna take up place in my heart to have hate for people that are no longer in my life.
Yeah, like, I don't hate my ex anymore, but I also don't feel anything towards him because he's totally out of myself.
Just, like, indifferent.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, okay, I felt this, I felt that, but I'm completely over it. I don't hate him. I don't like him. I don't associate with him anymore. So it's just like an old friend or whatever. Why are you gonna continue to hold feelings of hate or grudge or whatever? Just totally push it out. Like, get over it. Do your coping mechanisms. Go through the stages of grief or remorse and stuff. And then just let it go entirely from your body. And just continue bringing on like the red flags and the like highest standard, because just like how Joslyn said, her ex brought a new level of standard, and same with mine. Like, he bought me flowers. It was the first time in my life somebody had gone out to like suitor me, so like that brings like a new level of relationship into the future. But I'm not holding on to any negativity or love or hate or whatever. I'm just taking what I learned and bringing that on to my entire life.
Absolutely. And, learning to cope in a good way is definitely like a learning experience, 100%. So
yes, because before our relationships, each relationship and each time and each person you meet, you have no idea. You learn, you gain more knowledge, you get more skills and stuff. So it definitely is learned. So that's why we wanted to start this, because we've gone through such hardships and stuff. And definitely between the two of us, we've gone through abuse, like neglect, and just like hate and cheating and toxicity and fragile masculinity and just douchebaggery. So we just wanted to start this to give people the information and hopefully give good advice so that people can go into their first relationship or go into their next relationship looking out for the signs of controlling people, and that if you go into a relationship and your boyfriend's telling you not to wear black because he doesn't like black, you now know from this podcast that that's a negative connotation, and that's a controlling feature, and you probably should red flag that in your mind. And we just wanted to give that advice out to people because it is a learned learned. It is a learned knowledge and stuff. Like, you have to go through the pain and hardships to become stronger.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely, like, we're going to keep doing podcasts, obviously, and stuff. And we have lots of topics to cover on. Like, I don't want to say our main focus because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but we really do have a lot of knowledge and information about, like, relationships, good and bad.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're going to touch on, like, you know, what not to look for, what to look out for,
Yeah.
like, how to recognize red flags, how to go about that. And
healthy conversations about sex and
mental
hookup
health.
culture and mental health while you're in, and how to keep your hobbies, how to communicate with your boyfriend or girlfriend, how to adjust, how to move in, how to go about, like, the proper time to get married, or how to change yourself, how to properly change yourself, and just, like, so, like, a big part of this podcast is definitely going to be relationship based, but we're also going to talk about social media.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about hobbies, current world views, definitely not coronavirus because nobody wants to hear about that anymore. But we'll definitely talk about everything and anything. Like, maybe I'll have my own topics. Like, maybe one day Joslyn won't be here and I'll talk about art or video games or TVs and movies, and maybe she'll come in and talk about piercings and tattoos and makeup and stuff, even though I know about that too. But she knows way more. But yeah, like, we'll have each other's maybe days, and we're definitely going to keep a wide span of topics. But since we're both so into, and we have so much knowledge about relationships and love, and well-versed about that stuff, we're definitely going to talk about that a lot. But we definitely won't bore you to death. We'll definitely have our off days, not off days, but days that we aren't talking about relationships, because everyone wants to hear about everything. We'll give advice about how to go into work and not start drama, or how to get a job, and how healthcare is nowadays and stuff. We'll definitely talk about everything and anything that we are well versed in.
Yes, and I know this is, like, our first podcast, and it might be a little, like, preemptive to, like, say this, but like, we're gonna link our social medias and stuff like that, so feel free to, like, contact us, give us, like, podcast topics that you specifically want to hear about.
Yeah, your opinions on what we've talked about.
Yeah, definitely. Give us your feedback.
Questions, comments, concerns.
Emotional outbursts.
Yes, of course.
Go ahead and, like, give us your feedback and let us know how we did and everything. So
Because everyone's got constructive criticism.
Yes.
Super healthy in a relationship and super healthy in all walks of life.
Absolutely.
So give us constructive criticism, give us negative criticism. We'll take it all.
Drag us.
Yes.
But anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up.
Yes, because it's almost at an hour, and we were trying to keep it at an hour, but some days we'll go longer, some days we'll go shorter.
Absolutely. So, thank you
It might get bigger.
Yeah, it might get bigger.
It might stay the same, but this is what we got.
Regardless, we're totally prepared. Anyways, thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you.
And hopefully we have another good session like this.
Yes, hopefully. Hopefully it's a little later. Maybe we'll do late night pillow talks.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Maybe we'll do interviews. Yes, we'll also...
Yeah, we're going to bring people on.
Yeah, bring our friends in, bring coworkers in, bring roommates, dogs, cats, maybe random people. Maybe till one day we'll bring interviews and stuff. We'll talk to a relationship advice.
Yeah.
We'll fucking see how good we get. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, catch you next time.
Yeah, we'll also figure out outros and intros, so bear with us.
Bear with us. Bye, guys.
Bye.